Yes, name and address for the
Yeah,
record?
sure. Christine Moore, 63 Scott Ridge Road. Thank you very much, Mr. Coyle. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, may I
Yes,
ask? I'm sorry.
ask the question.
Thank you. I see the lots are listed
Yes.
down here. There's a map on ridgefields.org that has lot 41, Prospect Ridge, on the map as open space, but it's not listed in this.
I can explain.
Oh, thank you.
I can explain.
Please, Mr. Coyle.
The listing of properties that we provided to the Board of Selectmen did include property at Prospect Ridge and East Ridge, across the street from it. It was probably always a reach for us to consider that as open space, which was why it's on the map. There's a lot of athletic facilities there, Parks and Rec has a piece of it, and it was felt that to offer the greatest flexibility for the management of the town, we would take those properties out of the official listing of open space. They totaled about 42 acres. And that's how that transpired. That
So that
doesn't
was
mean it
just
won't
like
change in
that.
the future,
Okay.
but we wanted to get the bulk of this project.
Okay. Are there any other parts of the map that are not included, or just those two?
It's just those two.
That's interesting. Okay. Just staying there.
Thank you, good answer. Are there any further comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Kirk Carr, 62 Prospect Ridge. Is it too late to amend the motion to add that property
Yeah, that would be nice.
to the list?
Our attorney is here, but I would suggest that it's a substantive change that would have to go back to a public hearing
I concur.
and no renotice, but I yield to attorney on this one.
Based on Mr. Grogan's determination, the answer is no. I also think that Mr. Coyle and the Conservation Commission are trying to be really sure that they don't put something on the list that might be a mistake, that can't be changed later probably. This could always be done in the future. It doesn't mean that that can't be done in the future, but he's not confident. I mean, they removed just 2 properties from a big, long list.
Yeah.
The 2 that they were not completely confident in. Not that they didn't want them, they weren't confident that it was the right thing to do at this time. We ought to, in this instance, clearly defer to them, especially since Mr. Grogan says it's a substantive change. So the answer is no. And that's my decision alone. Mr. Kearns?
Yes, just a question
Yes.
through the moderator. to
Yes.
Mr. Coyle. You're talking about the soccer fields that are behind the ice skating rink, when you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
It's that whole.
Yes, so just for the record, that is Park and Rec land. It was given to the Park and Rec, to the town through the Park and Rec, through a state grant, and there are restrictions on that it must remain recreational unless somebody petitions the state and asks it to be converted from it. So it has some level of protection already.
Just,
Thank you for that clarification.
Mr. Marconi?
I just want to, it says recreation/open space,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Not just recreation.
Right, in the,
Yes.
Hi, Christine Moore, 63 Scott Ridge Road. Thank you for the explanation, and it sounds like the discussion that you had about that parcel was, at least from what I heard, was that it was decided because it was part of Parks and Rec, is that fair?
That's part of it. There are actually 4, I think it's 4 or 5 parcels that constitute Prospect Ridge.
Mhm.
Parcel or 2 across the street, which constitute East Ridge.
Okay.
Okay, and in looking at them, there seemed to be a need for more discussion on it, carefully identifying who actually was responsible for it. We came to find, for example, that a good piece of it, 10 acres of that, is in the jurisdiction of Parks and Rec already.
Okay.
It's open space and all. So rather than tying up the other 1,100 or so, we felt, let's move ahead with this, get this under wraps, get these parcels protected, And then the discussion of those two areas can be rejuvenated at any time you wish.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, name and address for the record.
Nick Bone, 53 Main Street. Recreation/open space. Is that a legal classification of the space?
Mr. Marconi.
That's what's in the document.
I
I don't know.
I-
The
I-
lawyers drafted
I'm
the
asking the
document.
question, is it illegal?
I'm not an attorney.
Well, we have an attorney here. That's a legal classification?
It classifies it as.
Legal/,
Recreation/open space.
does either one of them take preference or order?
No.
Is that the only piece of property we have floating around? It's got a legal/whatever it is, classification?
There
Well,
are.
wait, that,
Yeah, we probably have a bunch more. I'll let Mr. Marconi answer that.
well, to Mr. Kearns, Parks and Rec, that was purchased with about $360,000-$80,000 roughly of grant money, where it was federal money that came in.
State grant money.
State grant money that was used with the understanding that that property could only be used for recreational/open space. So if the town decided not to use it for anything, wanted an open space, we could. Or if we wanted to do something with it, we could do that, but it could only be recreational. It could not be housing or businesses or anything like that.
So the way that we came up with a designation with that, for that property was to qualify the property for funds that were advanced for properties that would be classified as recreational/open space.
I don't quite understand.
The state
Moderator,
determined that,
please.
not us.
The state determined it?
Yeah, that was the state language, not ours.
We have the document from the state that says that.
All right, mutual confusion, okay.
Last question. Name and address for the record. Last comment.
Certainly. My name is Greg Kabasakali in 2 Washington. Based on the temperature of the room, I think I know why we're all here. And I would strongly encourage us to support this tonight. Mr. Coyle, you folks have done a wonderful job itemizing all of this property. 1,000 acres in perpetuity will never be built on. It will be preserved. So, in the words of my personal favorite, the great Ronald Wilson Reagan, I will take a half a loaf of bread today and be back tomorrow for the other half.
We don't have a meeting tomorrow night.
That's a nice comment to end on. But I'll let Mr. Go ahead, one more.
One more, Sean McAvoy, High Ridge Road. What does this leave us at as a percentage of open space in town? I know we were trying to approach 30%, it sounds like we're
That's a question Mr.
way
Boyle
below.
can answer off the top of his head.
25%.
Thank
So
you.
we're lower than where we thought we were.
Slightly. Really, I mean, you know, with this discussion we've had about the 2 properties, it was like 25.3 to 25.1. I mean, it's.
And out of those 4 to 5 on the Prospect Ridge side, how many of those are controlled by Parks and Rec? Is it all of them, or just some of them?
Some of them.
What are the rest?
Town of Richmond. But no particular,
Yep.
no particular agency that we know of.
Okay, there you go.
All those in favor of the motion pending before we can't go on, I said 2 questions. Is it pertinent to this, or is it
Yes.
fishing for an answer on something
No,
related?
no.
Go ahead, name and address for the record.
Lori Mazzella, 1 Circle Drive East. I'm on the Affordable Housing Committee, just so everybody knows. I'm confused right now. So if the property on Prospect Ridge is only for recreational use, I don't understand why we were given the authority to spend the money for a feasibility study to build.
That's not, you know what, that's actually completely off point. We're voting on.
it's not.
No, it's not.
It is completely off point. We're voting on 1,000
You're right.
acres, and that asks
Right.
whether it should be something else. That's a wonderful question for another day.
Point of order. I'd like a vote on her question being approved by
That's
the people here.
moderator's decision alone. I'm confident of that. All those in favor of the motion pending before the town meeting signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Vote against it. That's what you're supposed to do now.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Don't be bashful. I said earlier, don't be bashful. If you don't like it, don't vote for it.
I don't think you need to call me out either.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but you shouldn't be bashful.
Moderators
speak like this.
The motion passes. The Board of Selectmen is authorized to carry out the motion.